In the annals of martial arts lore, few events capture the imagination like a clash between two titans of the craft. The story of Steven Seagal and Frank Dux, two martial artists whose paths converged in a private dojo in North Hollywood, is one such tale. A moment where speculation became reality, and a decades-long debate was settled in a flurry of skill, strategy, and sweat. This wasn't a spectacle for the masses, nor was it a Hollywood production choreographed for entertainment. It was a raw, unfiltered contest between two men whose reputations, though built on vastly different foundations, had made them legends in their own right. What follows is a detailed retelling of that fateful encounter, a moment when two distinct philosophies of combat collided in a quiet room filled with anticipation. This is the story of a fight that wasn't just about victory, but about the essence of martial arts itself: discipline, respect, and the pursuit of mastery. The prelude to the clash. The martial arts community thrives on stories, tales of discipline, triumphs, and sometimes controversy. By the late 1990s, two names stood out in the Los Angeles scene, each carrying a weight that sparked endless discussions in dojos, gyms, and online forums: Steven Seagal and Frank Dux. They were not just practitioners, but icons, each representing a different facet of the martial arts world. Seagal was the towering, stoic figure whose credentials were etched in years of rigorous training and verifiable achievements. Dux, on the other hand, was an enigma, a man whose fame was built on a blend of cinematic legend and unproven claims that captivated imaginations. Their paths, though parallel in fame, seemed destined never to cross, until a single conversation changed everything. It began quietly, almost imperceptibly, in a private discussion between mutual acquaintances in the martial arts community. A casual remark, a playful challenge, and suddenly the idea took root. What would happen if Steven Seagal and Frank Dux faced each other in a real sparring match? The notion wasn't meant to leave the room, but in a community where passion for the craft runs deep, whispers spread quickly. By the time the two men agreed to meet at a private martial arts exhibition in North Hollywood, the anticipation had grown into a quiet storm. This wasn't a public event. No tickets were sold, and no cameras were allowed. The audience would be a select group of insiders, high-level instructors, stunt coordinators, and fight choreographers who understood the stakes and the significance of what was about to unfold. The setting was a modest dojo, tucked away in a nondescript corner of North Hollywood, a place where the air smelled faintly of sweat and polished wood, and the walls bore the marks of countless training sessions. The event was billed as a showcase of techniques, a chance for practitioners of various disciplines to share their knowledge and demonstrate their skills. But as the date approached, the focus shifted. Seagal and Dux were both confirmed to attend, and the rumor of a sparring match between them electrified the small circle of invitees. This wasn't about publicity or profit. It was about settling a question that had lingered in the martial arts world for years. Who would prevail in a contest between these two legends? The legends: Steven Seagal and Frank Dux. To understand the significance of this encounter, one must first understand the men who stepped onto the mat that day. Steven Seagal was a figure that commanded respect, not just for his physical presence, but for his undeniable pedigree. Standing over 6'4", he moved with a deliberate calm that belied his strength. His training history was a matter of record: years spent in Japan, where he immersed himself in the disciplines of Iaido and Aikido, earning high ranks and even breaking barriers as the first foreigner to operate an Aikido dojo in Osaka. His approach to martial arts was rooted in control, redirection, and precision, techniques that emphasized using an opponent's energy against them. Seagal's career had taken him from the dojo to the silver screen, where he served as a martial arts coordinator before transitioning to acting. His fight scenes, grounded in joint locks and fluid movements, stood in sharp contrast to the high-flying kicks of other action stars. He was a man who didn't need to boast. His resume spoke for itself. Dux, by contrast, was a figure shrouded in mystique. His name had become synonymous with the 1988 film Bloodsport, which claimed to be based on his real-life exploits in a clandestine tournament called the Kumite. According to the movie's closing credits, Dux had achieved feats that seemed almost superhuman. 56 consecutive knockouts, the fastest knockout time in history, and over 300 victories. These claims, however, were met with skepticism. Dux asserted that he had trained in the secretive art of Koga Yamabushi Ninjutsu under a master named Senzo Tanaka, learning techniques of stealth, agility, and precision. Yet no independent evidence corroborated his story, and in martial arts circles, opinions were sharply divided. To some, Dux was a charismatic innovator who had brought a new dimension to the art. To others, his tales were more fiction than fact. Regardless, his speed, showmanship, and undeniable charisma had made him a household name. The contrast between the two men was stark. Seagal's reputation was built on tangible achievements and a disciplined, almost ascetic approach to martial arts. Dux thrived on the allure of the unknown, his legend fueled by stories that were as captivating as they were unverifiable. On paper, they were opposites, the proven technician versus the enigmatic showman. Yet both shared an unshakable confidence in their abilities, and both had captivated the martial arts world in their own way. The stage was set for a clash that would test not just their skills, but the very philosophies they embodied. The decisive moment. As the final minutes of the match approached, both men knew the importance of a definitive moment. A close contest could be debated endlessly, but a single, clear act of control would leave no room for argument. Dux, sensing the clock ticking down, committed to a final push. He moved in with a flurry of strikes, low kick, jab, hook, another kick, each blow coming faster than the last. Seagull, under pressure, gave ground, his expression unchanged, but his body adjusting to absorb the onslaught. The crowd held its breath, sensing the fight was building toward a climax. Then, in a moment of perfect timing, Seagull turned the tide. As Dux stepped in for what seemed like the finishing blow, a sharp punch aimed at the torso, Seagull stepped forward instead of back, closing the distance. His left hand clamped onto Dux's wrist, his right pressing against the shoulder, and with a smooth rotation of his hips, he redirected Dux's momentum downward. The takedown was swift and precise, a textbook application of Aikido principles. Dux hit the mat with a thud, his back against the canvas, and before he could react, Seagull transitioned into a pin, trapping Dux's arm and shoulder with his knee to prevent escape. Dux struggled briefly, twisting to free himself, but Seagull's leverage was absolute. The hold was firm but controlled, designed to secure the position without causing harm. The referee, recognizing the decisiveness of the move and noting the dwindling time, stepped in to call the match. Seagull released immediately, rising to his feet and extending a hand to Dux. The smaller man accepted, standing with a nod that spoke of respect rather than defeat. The two men faced each other for a moment, their breaths heavy, sweat dripping onto the mat, and their eyes meeting in a silent acknowledgement of the battle they had just fought. The aftermath. The applause from the spectators was restrained but heartfelt, a recognition of the skill and spirit displayed on the mat. The official ruling was clear. Steven Seagal had won, his final takedown a decisive demonstration of control and technique. But as the attendees filed out of the dojo, the discussions were nuanced. Some argued that Dux's speed and clean strikes had made the fight closer than the outcome suggested, pointing to his moments of dominance and his ability to push Seagull to the edge of the mat. Others contended that Seagull's ability to dictate range, neutralize attacks, and deliver the final move outweighed Dux's offensive bursts. In truth, the fight had been a close contest, a showcase of two distinct styles and philosophies, each man forcing the other to adapt and respond. The bout remained a private affair, unrecorded by cameras and untouched by the media. Those who witnessed it understood its significance and respected the unspoken agreement to keep it within the martial arts community. Over time, however, the story spread, whispered in dojos, and shared among practitioners. Each retelling varied slightly, but the core remained. A tense, technical battle decided by a single, well-executed move in the final moments. For Seagal, it was a validation of his skill, a reminder that his abilities extended beyond the screen. For Dux, it was proof that he could hold his own against a proven master, even if the final moment went against him. And for those who saw it, it was a rare glimpse into the heart of martial arts, a contest driven not by ego, but by the pursuit of excellence. Reflection and legacy. The encounter between Steven Seagal and Frank Dux was more than a fight. It was a meeting of two worlds. Seagal represented the traditionalist, his skills honed through years of documented training and discipline. Dux embodied the outsider, his legend built on charisma and claims that, while unverified, inspired fascination. Their clash was a microcosm of the martial arts community itself, a space where tradition and innovation, proof and mystery, coexist in constant tension. The fight didn't resolve the debates about their respective legacies. If anything, it deepened them, giving both supporters and skeptics new fuel for their arguments. In the years that followed, the story of the North Hollywood bout became a kind of martial arts myth, a tale told with reverence by those who understood its significance. It was a reminder that martial arts at its core is more than victory or defeat. It's about the journey, the discipline, and the respect forged in the crucible of competition. Seagal and Dux, despite their differences, shared that understanding, and their fight was a testament to it. As for the question of who might face off in a similar clash today, the martial arts world is filled with possibilities. Perhaps a matchup between a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu master and a Muay Thai champion, or a Taekwondo Olympian against a Krav Maga expert. Each pairing would bring its own dynamic, its own story, and its own lessons. What matters is not just who wins, but what the fight reveals about the art and the artists who practice it.